Did you? Okay. That's good. She reached out to me. Okay, good.
In progress. Go back. Join us. Come on in. All right. Hey guys, how are you? We're gonna jump in and get started. Everything I'm gonna go over today is I recreated actually this morning because I didn't like the looks of it. So we have a whole new folder in the Google Drive of everything I'm gonna go over. I did print copies also, so we'll have some of those lying around here today. But I'm gonna go ahead and first turn it over to Amanda so that you can just dive in and chat. She's gonna talk a little bit about a piece of what we're going to be doing in this whole contact to contract process. So Amanda, come on up. Did you need to share anything or share screen at all or?
No, I think I'll be okay.
All right. So I'm going to just face my camera towards you if you want to grab a chair.
Hey, everybody. So I really quick just wanted to talk about the importance of having a database. So the contact part is the way to get lots of contracts is to create meaningful touches and meaningful relationships with your database. So if you do not have a database, let's meet. I will help you get one put together. It's less daunting than what you're thinking it will be. Michaela and I are meeting later today, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. I have a class in August. We're going to talk a little bit about it. But it should be like a revenue generating activity, not some kind of burden.
Yeah.
That you're.
I love that. I'm going to get a copy of that.
Yeah,
I'll add that to the drive too.
Yep. When you're thinking about your contacts in your database, having the most data better, meaning like, do I have their phone number? Do I have their address? Do I have their emails? And when you're thinking about that, emails are great. So we can send out automated emails in smart plans. So those are touches that you can set up way in advance and they're automated and you're not even thinking about it. If you have phone numbers, maybe we're setting up Twilio with a texting service where you send out automated texts. They're good to just call people and check in. Addresses are even greater because you can send postcards and mailers and things like that through command. So the more complete and whole your database is, the better off you are with your contacts.
I also like addresses because you can download that onto a mailing label spreadsheet.
Yep.
And then if you're mailing them Christmas cards or calendars or something throughout the year, you don't have to actually write in all those addresses. So that makes it nice.
Absolutely. So the more complete your database, the better off you are. And if you're starting off with a mess and we're putting it into command and it's a mess, it's going to stay a mess. So let's get everything on one sheet, cleaned up how we want it. We'll get it in command and we'll start doing stuff with it. If you guys haven't gotten into command, if you have no database, if you don't know where to start, like definitely meet with me. My stuff's in the newsletter, so you can schedule with me there or just send me an email. But that's the biggest thing with the database is starting with one, having one.
And it might just be your cell phone.
And if you haven't just popped your contacts into command through your phone, I will show you how to do that. It is 5 seconds, not even kidding you.
Yeah. I would recommend again, going in there, like she said, and cleaning that up. You don't need pizza shops, or duplicates of somebody's name.
Or somebody with an emoji next to their name. Right, yeah. So you can go in and clean all that up. Do you remember the income difference on the 201 Club? Do you remember what that is? It's like proven that people with 201 contacts in their database make significantly more than agents who don't. It's definitely a 5-figure difference.
Yes, for sure.
I just
remember what it was, but yeah,
by having just by having 200 contacts.
That's right.
And if you think like I don't know anybody, you definitely do. Everybody knows lots of people, your doctors, your hairdresser, your person at your nail salon, old teachers. I mean, just there's
networks of people that you know from church or from a sport that you play, or if you have children that are in sports or you neighbors, and it's more than you think.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely. So let's talk about that. I definitely want to meet with you.
And it doesn't have to be people you know. It could be farming a neighborhood. It could be you're hosting open house and you're building a database that way. So I met 5 people this week and I met 10 people next week.
Yep.
Running
Facebook ads in command.
Right. Yep.
That is another great way because it'll list everybody. It'll give you all their information right there.
Yeah.
And we just have to import them. So if you don't know how to run ads through command, that's also something that we could talk about. But that is a great other part of
Yep.
your database and you don't even know them.
That's right. For sale by owners, expires, there's a million things. So all those things, we do a class on how to build my database too. So,
Yeah, y'all let you steal this.
that's right. Thank you. Yeah, I want to make a copy of that.
That was my little spiel. I'm doing a class on actually building your database on August 8th. So come to that. And if you'd rather have a one-on-one, let's chat. So,
Sorry. Any questions for Amanda about command, database, or any such things? Anybody on Zoom?
all right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Good to see you. All right. I'm gonna dive in. Mason, if you want to grab a stack of that, there's about 8 pages maybe. I'm gonna do a share screen, guys. All right. You guys up here. You're welcome. All right. If anyone has any questions, just go ahead and unmute yourself. I don't always, I think I have my chats covered with you guys up top here, so I won't see if you put something in the chat. So please, I don't think you're rude. Go ahead and just, I don't know. No, you go ahead and just keep going until you get to the last one. In any case, so we're going to talk today a little bit about contact to contract. So when you're in the Google Drive, you'll see a lot of people will say, oh, this is the wrong one. It says contract to close. In any case, there's 2 different classes. One is contract to close, and that's the one where we're going over, yay, I have a pending contract, and what are the steps that I need to take till we get to closing? That's something different than this. This is contact, so I've gotten a lead. Will you shut that door, please? And I don't know where I got the lead. The lead came to me from open house, or the lead came to me because a referral came to me from a friend, or it was somebody that I was marketing to because I saw they were an expired listing, or any of the numerous ways that we find leads. And then what do I do with them from that point all the way till we are under contract? And then we can take it from those next steps. So what does that mean to you guys? So everybody on Zoom here, when you hear contact to contract, what does that define? What is that to you? What is that phase? Anybody? Okay. Nobody?
The whole time that you're working with them pretty much, other than
So-
when they go under contract?
It's nurture. It means the nurture phase. I got a lead, and now until I go under contract with them, whether that be tomorrow, next week, or next year, it could be a while. That time frame is different for every client, and it's also different depending on what you're doing. So that's the nurture phase. So that entire time in that contact to contract is the nurture phase. What do I need to do to nurture these people? So I just kind of threw some things on here that I know we need to do. For starters, we need to get organized, and you have to have a plan. As I've said many times, that, this is your job, and having a structure is, most jobs you have a plan, you have a structure, you have a day, and then these are the things and the tasks that you're going to do. So getting organized is really important. So that way, when you get that lead, you know exactly what you're going to do next. It certainly helps once you walk through one transaction, both with buyer and seller, to kind of know how that goes. But it really is the same at this stage, whether they're a potential buyer or seller, you're going to basically still do the same types of things. So organized means I already have my system, so that when I meet somebody, or I talk to someone, or anybody replies to me from something that I put out there to the world, whether it be physically delivering something or online ad, then you know exactly then what to do. If you don't have organization and you don't have a plan, then all the work that you're doing to lead generate will just go unused and unnoticed by everyone, and you won't get a paycheck, right? Because you didn't do anything with that person. So it's in the organization and having that plan together. If someone has a question, go ahead and just jump right in. Then I say time block. Go ahead and time block that. You should have your day time block so that you know what you're doing throughout the day. When am I following up? When am I working on getting organized. Like I would also put in my calendar, today I'm going to work on my system. So when I get a buyer and a seller, here's the 10 things I'm going to do. Then follow up. We have got to follow up. If you don't follow up, and it doesn't matter who they are, it could be a family member. And if you don't follow up, you're going to potentially lose your opportunity. The lead generating is to create opportunities for yourself. And then the follow up and nurture is to turn those opportunities into paychecks. So can we mentally see that path? All these things I do don't create sales. All these things I do to lead generate creates opportunities. It's then in the nurture that I actually then could get a paycheck. So that's why this stage is so important. So have a plan. You have to have a plan together of what you're going to do. And then sending information. So you're going to send information to a buyer, and you're also going to send information to a potential seller. It's not the same type of information, but it is basically the same at the same time. So a buyer, you're going to set up in a search. You're going to send them houses for what area and price range that they're looking at. And then you're going to set up a plan to follow up with them. With sellers, you're going to set them up in a market snapshot. So you're also going to send them houses. It's just going to be a little different because it's not based on, what they're looking for, but based on the criteria of their current home. So then you want them to get continuous hits of properties in their area that have gone on the market, have gone under contract, and have closed. Not every day. You can do it weekly, you can do it monthly, just depending on where their time frame is. And we'll talk a little bit about qualifying that here in a minute too. And then the next step, of course, would be to make that deal. All right, so nurturing your leads. This is a step-by-step guide to nurture your leads, to selling them a home, selling their home, and turning them into clients for life, and keeping you on top of their mind so that the way they will use you in the future, as well as send you referrals. So that's so important. Also, don't miss the opportunity to find out if I'm talking to a potential buyer, are they also selling a house? You need to ask. We all just assume they're going to say, but they don't. They don't always say that they're going to be selling. And if you don't ask, they might just go find another agent. I don't remember what the statistics are, but far too many people use two different real estate agents, for one for the buy and one for the sell. And for no other reason than the agent they were working with first didn't ask about the other side. So equally so, when you're working with a seller, where are you going and who's going to help you find your home? It really is. I've actually had a seller say to me once, we were wondering if you were ever going to ask us about working with us on the buy side. We were starting to think that you only worked with sellers. And that was like an eye-opening moment, because they literally told me what I already was suspecting was happening. So definitely make sure that you are aware of that too. All right, so let's talk about organizing structures in your business plan, tips for nurturing your clients and your relationships. So deliver what the client needs. Let me also say this, there's nothing more disappointing as a consumer. This recently happened to me as well, than to talk to somebody in a profession that is going to be helping you with some type of a service or product, and then they don't follow through on what they say they're going to do. So like in my scenario, I guess it's a service. And what this person has said to me a couple different occasions now is, okay, yes, I understand what you're asking for, and I'll get that to you. And then I never get it. And then I have to ask again, and it's, oh, I'm so sorry, I'll get that to you today. And then I still don't get it. So I'm not working with that person anymore. I've lost trust. I think that they overspeak and underdeliver. So give the client what they need and what they want. So again, you can improvise there and know whether it's a buyer or seller and what their needs are. You also need to get on top of it constantly and, fast, because then you risk definitely losing them. And not just with my personality type. Most people, even a high S personality who likes to be friendly with everybody, is still going to get disappointed and angry because you haven't fulfilled your end of the bargain. For example, don't say I'll set you up in a search to see houses on the market and I'll get that over to you later today, and then you just don't do it. Let's see. Meeting timeframes and deadlines is also really important. So what that means is, don't make the mistake of waiting to the last minute to map out and schedule showings, because now you have a window that you told them that you were going to show them houses, let's just say, and now you can't. Don't tell a seller, this is a big thing, and I know this has happened to a couple of you recently, maybe not on here. Don't tell a seller, oh my gosh, yes, we're so excited, I can come over tomorrow and we can have your house listed by Friday. Don't give yourself tight boundaries with timeframes like that, in particular with sellers. Give yourself enough time. It's more important that you hit the timeframe deadline than you disappointed them because you couldn't get it done by tomorrow. I wouldn't list a house in one day. There's a lot of things you need to do in preparation. So that's super, super important. Let's see. I wrote in here at the beginning of the relationship is most important, but I would say that's not necessarily true. It's all the way through. I don't know at what point you can drop the ball and it would be okay with the client. Honestly, clients have a hard time even if you're going on vacation. And there's another tip. I really don't tell my clients I'm going on vacation. I really don't. I wait until they need something from me, and then I say, oh gosh, I'm on vacation. Let me put you in touch with so-and-so, and then they can help you out. We don't want them to say, oh, you know what, Gina's on vacation, we're not going to bother her. We'll just call this random other agent that we talk to occasionally. And the next thing you know, they're buying a house from somebody else. So I caution you that. Creating trust obviously is so important. And again, in the scenario that I had going on with the particular business, they have lost my trust entirely. I don't trust them. And the trust, it's not even the issues that I had with some of the things that they had been doing. It's really how they handled it. And then I've actually told the salesperson yesterday, you have lost my trust and I absolutely cannot move forward because I can never trust you again. So trust is so important. Trust doesn't mean that you're available all the time. Trust just means that you're going to do what you say you're going to do and that you're going to work hard for them and that you won't drop the ball. I'll also say this because it is that vacation time of the year. It's okay to go on vacation. It's okay to be at an Indians game. It's okay to have a life and do those things. Just if there's something going on with the client, make sure there's somebody who can help you. Make sure that's what we have such a great network here in the coaching program and in KW. There's going to be someone who can help you. I do work on vacation depending on the trip. There's certain trips that are easier to work on and certain ones that aren't. And the ones that are easy to work on, no problem. I will work, but don't say you're going to work and then don't do it. If there's a trip that you're going on that you absolutely cannot work, or I'm getting on a plane and I have a negotiation going on and I'm going to be in the air for 4 hours, you need to bring somebody in and it's worth the little bit of money that you'll have to pay somebody. And I know that that's why agents don't do it because they think, oh gosh, I don't want to have to pay somebody to show that house for me or something. Your people won't wait. I don't care how loyal they are to you, that you think they are, they absolutely won't. So creating that trust and making sure that you show them you're valuable will be something that will go a long way. Make sure that you send them the marketing materials, as I said, is so important. So I want to make sure that you know what that means. So one, I'm setting my buyer up in a search. I'm setting my seller up in a market snapshot. All that can be done right on the MLS. Other marketing materials would be like your buyer and seller packet. I like to email those packets to clients that are new ahead of time if I'm not going to have a consult. So it's a little bit easier to have a consultation with a seller because it's kind of, that's what the appointment is, right? You're going there, you're sitting down, you can force the consultation before you go look at the house and, measure rooms and stuff and take notes. With the buyer, it's a little bit harder because they just want to see the house. I try to force a consultation as much as I can in the first house. Either way, it's always a good idea to have your marketing packet in, email form that you can just send that to them ahead of time and say, hey, so-and-so, I sent you over a buyer packet with some valuable information that you can look at before our appointment tomorrow. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll bring you a hard copy as well. That can generate a conversation that they now are prepared for as well. So sending those marketing materials is also really important. And then continuously sending them valuable information will keep you top of mind. And we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. And that goes into our touch campaigns and stuff like that. Adding a personal touch, that would be, handwritten thank you cards, birthday cards, anniversary of the house that they bought, things like that. A lot of agents send out yearly calendars. I can tell you just about every year when I send out about 100 calendars, and those are just the silly little ones that are magnets that you put your business card on, I at least get one opportunity. I can't say every year I sell a house from it, but all we're trying to do is create opportunities for ourselves. So I always at least get one opportunity. That means I send out 100 calendars. It costs me, I don't know, a little over $100, we'll say. And I at least get one opportunity, usually one sale, but at least one opportunity. And that means somebody calls me, texts me, emails me and says, hey, thanks so much for the calendar. By the way, I have a client or I have a friend or I am looking to buy or sell a house. And it's just another reminder. It's not about the token, meaning the calendar. It's about another, way of being in front of them. I don't even care if they look at it, call me and throw it away. It caused them to call me. Some people send out the sporting calendars. So like the Cavs calendars, the Indians calendars, our football teams are Ohio State or the Browns or whatever. They send out those calendars. You got to plan that a little bit more in advance. So that way you get them before the season starts. It wouldn't make any sense to send out Indians calendars, like the calendar of their home games right now. They're already in the season halfway. So keep in mind that this is all about planning ahead as well. And I've got a little blank calendar in here that I'll show you here when we get towards the end. And then here's just some other seasonal ideas of things that you can send. Like you can send out not just in hard form, meaning you can send out emails and you can send out automatic text messages and reminders for you to contact them. I deliver mums in the fall to my top 50 database. There's different ideas like that you can be doing to stay in front of people. Is anybody doing, and I know we've got a lot of really brand new people, is there anybody on here that's doing anything like that? Do you send anything out? Do you send out handwritten note cards? Have you dropped off any, gifts, pop-bys, things like that for any of your clients? Let me also say that a little bit goes a long way. And by that, I mean the tiny little touches that you create along the time frame. And listen, guys, you don't need me to tell you this, time goes really fast. Before you know it, there's a past client from 10 years ago reaching out to you to tell you, hey, we want to buy our next house. And they didn't remember me because of anything other than throughout the year, I've sent them stuff. I've sent them little gift cards and I've sent them just different things to stay top of mind. And they follow me on Facebook and they see my posts. So getting referrals is really important for your future business. So I know that's not the right now business, but you need that business in the future too. Nothing worse than having a past client go work with another agent when it comes time, because usually that past client has a house to sell and to buy. I've had 3 of those this year. Three past clients that were over 10 years old that bought and sold. One of them, I was a dual agent on their listing as well. So that's a ton of money. So don't leave that money on the table. Questions? Nope. All right. Steps in your nurture process. So let's talk a little bit about that because that's really why you came here today. All right. So you receive the contact. Many different ways that you can receive a contact. The first thing that you're going to do with that lead is call, text, and email. I do a class that's called the 3x3 and the 5x5, and we'll go into detail, but I would in that particular class, but I would draw your attention to those. They're in the Google Drive folders, and be aware, call, text, and email isn't the way you would communicate with someone who you know necessarily, right? Like if you ran into a friend someplace and they say they're thinking about buying a house, you don't need to call, text, and email. They'll think you're a psychopath and you're stalking them. That is meant for if I got an internet lead or I got some kind of a lead that I need to keep reaching out regularly until they reply. And we're also trying to draw out, how does this person like to communicate? Do they prefer a call because they never respond to my texts, or they never answer their phone? So if I text them, then maybe now they'll respond. Or there's someone who's at their job and they sit behind a desk all day and they can't be on their phone. And so therefore they'll respond to an email. So when you do all three, all that is doing is helping you figure out what their preferred method of communication is. You can always ask. You can always say, hey, how do you prefer to communicate? But you've got to be to that point with the lead to be able to have that dialogue, if that makes sense. When they're a buyer, use the LP Mama script. When they're a seller, use the red sheet qualifying script, which I have also in this slide. So we'll look at that in a little bit here. Make sure you add that person from that information to your database. If you're using command or whatever else, as Amanda said, name, email, address, phone number, home addresses is extremely important. But if you don't have all of it, that's okay. Still add them in. If I only have a name and a phone number, they're still going in my database. Then it's just my job to figure out a way to get the rest of that information. It's real easy to find a home address, but what I really want is their email address. It's so valuable to have their email address because then it doesn't cost me money to send them stuff like I would have to in the mail. Create a tag in your contacts where you met them. It's a good idea to start from scratch doing that, because at some point when that database builds up, and maybe I only want to send out a blast email to every single person I met at open house, inviting them to an open house I'm hosting this weekend. That would be a touch, even though they're like, that's not the kind of house I'm looking for. That's okay. It's just another touch. And then they see that you're doing things. By the way, clients and potential clients, they want to work with busy agents. They think busy agents are actually more valuable to them because that means that you must know what you're doing. That must mean that other people are working with you so that it's okay for me to work with you. If they think you're doing nothing and you're a secret agent, then you'll remain that way. So you have got to make sure that they see that you're doing things. So even sending out a blast email or text inviting past people who came to an open house to another open house just tells them that you're doing things. So that's why we would do that, even if it's not in their criteria. Send them a thank you card after they visited your open house, or send them a thank you card after you showed them their first house. Or of course, after you went to their house and looked at it. Thanks so much for having me over. I hope we have a chance to work together. And that would make that a handwritten thank you card. People are, if you haven't heard me say this before, know this. People are more willing to read a handwritten note card than something that's printed. It is more personal, and keep it short. 3 sentences or less is going to get, people's attention. I know me, if I see someone sends me a thank you card, let's just say for a graduation gift, because I was at the graduation party, and it fills up the entire blank inside of the card. I got to be honest, I'll just call my own self out. I don't really care who it's from. They could be a blood relative, and I'm already not going to read it. I'm just not. I'll skim it, and usually none of the words will register because I just don't want to take the time to actually read it. If it was 3 simple sentences, then I would absolutely take the time to read it. That's just my personality. But be aware, the shorter the better when it comes to that kind of thing, and definitely never send somebody a piece of paper with a typed up letter. That for sure is not getting read. So we want to make sure we're staying in front of people that way. It's also a chance to include some of your business cards. Hey, I thought I'd include some of my business cards if you know of anybody who's thinking about buying or selling. Then we want to talk about time frame. So once you have that qualifying conversation, qualifying means tell me a little bit about what your time frame is. When are you thinking about buying or selling? When are you thinking that you want to be in your new home? Those kinds of questions. Have you been pre-approved? All the things that are on that red sheet and LP Mama script is going to help you qualify that lead. When we say qualified, that just really means is getting some information that helps you see what it is they're trying to achieve and when. We would qualify an A, B, or C buyer or seller as follows. An A would be someone who's going to buy or sell within 30 days. Now, of course, we have to find them a house, right? They can say they want to buy in 30 days, but if we don't find them something, then we got to keep looking. But that just means that their desire would be to buy or sell in 30 days. That's an A buyer seller. If that person is someone that you're talking to in your database, it says here, which I wrote it, you should be communicating with them 2 times a week. At least. If you've got a hot buyer / seller, you should be talking to them no less than 2 times a week. And that could simply be a, hey, Michaela, I just saw this house pop up that was on the market. Did you see it? I'm available tomorrow or Saturday. Would you like to schedule an appointment to look at it? That's what you would say. There's lots of scripts for those kinds of follow-up, or just checking in. I saw that you haven't opened your email in a while and there's a bunch of houses in there. All the different things like that. Your objective with that is to get their house listed within 30 days or get them under contract in 30 days. So it's our job to try to make that happen if that's their desire. A B client would be someone who's going to buy or sell in 30 to 90 days. So what would push 30 to 90? Well, that could be someone who says this, we really want to get our house on the market this summer, but we've got our kids' graduation, we've got this big vacation. So probably as long as we're in our new home, let's say by Halloween, then we would be good to go. So that would be an example of somebody who says, the 30 to 90 phase, which is a B. You should be communicating with them probably weekly, unless you can see that they're more leaning towards the 30 versus the 90. How do we find that out though? Well, if we're not asking them questions, which should be this. Don't ask people, when do you want to start looking? Ask them, when do you want to be in your new home? When do you want to be in your new home? And then they'll actually say, oh gosh, well, we have to be in by the end of the year because our lease is up on our apartment. Then you'll find out more information. Or we got to be in by September because we sold our house. So we'll find that out by asking when, because they don't know. They might say, oh, I'm too busy right now. I don't want to start looking until 2 weeks from now. And then you find out that their lease is up and they didn't realize that they needed to be looking 2 weeks prior to be able to have the 30 days to close. Don't assume that they know the process because they don't always. And then your objective here is to get them moved up to the A category. So my Bs, I want to become As. And that leads us down to C. A C client, buyer or seller would be somebody who's 90 days plus. So an example of that would be, thanks so much for coming over and looking at our house. It gives us an idea of price range, and you've given us some great tips on the things that we need to do to get the house ready. But, I'm not retiring until the end of this year. So we really don't want to move until I'm done working. That would be a 90 plus. That means, nothing that you say or do is going to cause me to move right now while I'm still working. Things like that would help you understand their time frame that way. Now, that doesn't mean that I wouldn't say to that person, hey, just out of curiosity, if we found the home of your dreams, or, we can see that we're in such a hot market right now that we can get the most for your house right now, would you consider moving that time frame up? If you say it in the right way, it doesn't sound pushy, by the way. That's why I like to start with a just out of curiosity. Kind of softens the blow of that attack sounding question. So just out of curiosity, if we found the house of your dreams, would you buy sooner? Or just so that I know where we're at with it, we're definitely not even going to start looking until after you retire. Got to understand the questions. We have got lots of qualifying questions. There's a whole form on it in the drive that helps you understand what the client's needs are. And let me also tell you, they want you to ask those questions. They start to trust you because they think that you care about what they need. If they've been talking to other agents, they probably haven't asked them the right questions, because then they wouldn't be talking to you then too. So keep that in mind. My objective for them, of course, is to get them up to B and then to A. But based on their time frame and what they actually tell you is how I determine how often I want to communicate. It's real easy though to communicate with them once a month by email and then maybe call them quarterly. I would also tell a C client, you know what, would it be okay if I check back in with you in 2 months? Get their permission to check back in, and then they will answer the phone. Does that make sense? Questions about that or experiences with that? So quiet today. All right, you guys freak me out when you're quiet. It makes me fill the void with my voice, I promise. All right, needs. Back to that qualifying stage. Let's see, let me get a little closer. You've tried to reach out, but they haven't responded yet. Here's your action plan. So in that qualifying stage, so that means this is a lead that I got someplace, but I've never actually spoke to them. I would recommend that you create these as tags as well. As you're adding someone, have a qualifying stage tag. That means to me, then they've never replied. So why would I potentially have a lead in my database that never replied? That I've never spoke to? Probably an internet lead, right? Or some kind of ad that you ran or something like that. So that's someone that you know, and it signifies to you that you've never spoke to them, but they reached out in some way. And then you're going to set them up in a smart plan. I would say, again, call immediately, 2 times a week, send text, call. Can I tell you that most of these platforms that bring you internet leads tell you you should follow up no less than 15 times before you give up? That means call, text, and email 15 times before you should abandon that lead. Now, by abandon, it doesn't mean trash them out. That just means then put them on a longer term drip of some kind. So then go ahead and maybe just send them emails once in a while, that kind of thing. If you don't call immediately, you'll definitely lose the opportunity with that type of a lead. What else? This gives you just some tips on things that you can be saying to them as well. Thanks so much for visiting my site. Remind them how they came in touch with you. Remind them that they reached out to you in some way. It was from an ad that you ran on Facebook, or they clicked on your link from a post or whatever. It could also be from a mailing. Suppose that you sent out a mailing in a farming neighborhood and then they went to your website. Remind them how they came in contact with you. When you do that, it makes it sound like you're replying to them versus trying to cold call them. That's a different kind of thing. Your goal here, of course, would be to try to get a conversation set up in some way so that you can move them to that ABC category and then decide how to proceed from there. Plan out your next steps. Don't forget the most important thing with buyers and sellers is that buyers are sellers and sellers are buyers, as we talked about. So don't miss your opportunity in your window with that. Getting an action plan together with all these clients would start with setting up some type of a smart plan, because now you've got their info, you're putting them in your database. If you just put them in your database, I'm sure that you would all agree they don't know that they're there. So like Amanda said, she can show you how to get them all added. And now you have all these people in your database, but you're doing nothing with them. So what good does it do to have them in there if you're not going to do anything? So set up a smart plan, and we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a minute as well. Setting them up in a 36 touch campaign is not the same as setting them up in a smart plan. Your 36 touch is going to be something to the effect of, I will call these people 4 times a year. I will text them 4 times a year. I will send them 12 emails a year. I will do 2 pop buys a year, whatever that looks like, that you divide up to 36 touches. And we've got some information on that as well, what that specifically could look like for you. All right.
Gina, can I stop in real quick?
Please do. Yeah.
I was just on the phone with 2 different people literally during this,
Okay.
who called, and they're friends of mine who I've been back and forth with consistently, who have referrals for me. One is her aunt's going through a divorce. They need to sell their home. but
Yes.
her aunt already talked to someone, but the husband doesn't agree. So I'm like, just give me an opportunity. And she's like, well, I don't want to do it because then that'll make it so much more difficult for them. And I'm like, could you just give me your number and name? I promise you, if I meet with them, I can make it work between them. I promise you. I could
Yeah.
even go to him first. And so I'm doing all that. I just want advice on that kind of thing because I get so frustrated. Then I have another friend who called me and said, hey, the woman who used to do my mom's hair, her dad died. Now she has 2 homes to deal with. And I keep telling her to call you. Has she called you? And I'm like, no, I didn't even know you were doing that. Could I please have her name and number? He's like, well, I forwarded it to her. And I'm like, could you please just give it to me? So I'm having a challenge getting people to like
Yeah.
give me the information. And I even did the go ahead and give it to me. I even texted him. I said, go ahead and
Yeah.
text both of us in a text. Because I just want the opportunity to
So-
talk to him. And he's like, she's afraid about rates. She's worried about rates. And I'm like, I guarantee you I will work with her, just to BS to get in the door. I'm like, this
So
is
like,
ridiculous.
exactly, you getting in front of them doesn't mean that they're committing to buying a home, right?
Yep,
So just
yep.
because you're there doesn't mean that they have to, so they're worried about rates, okay, whatever.
Yeah,
Their rates are coming
exactly.
down, they're gonna gradually start to come down again, so she should be happy that we're already, I think personally, we've hit our high and we're gonna come down. I mean, we might fluctuate in the 7s, but it's
Oh, and
gonna come
these are
down.
listings. She's worried about how much I
Oh.
will charge her.
Oh, that rate. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay, well, again, how is she gonna know until she talks to you?
exactly. And
That's
she
interesting.
he said she has a friend who said she already wants to buy the house. And I'm like, please tell her that her friend is taking advantage of her because it's a hot market. Her house will probably go for more than she thinks because her dad's house and
Also,
whatever
this,
other house
Kim,
he has.
you can help assist in that too. So I,
Right.
any day will do a reduced commission to do a one-time showing agreement and then help mediate that for them.
Right. I need to say something like that. That's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, just could I have the opportunity I said, could I have an opportunity to give her a free market analysis of the homes that she has to sell, all this stuff. I mean, he's
Yeah.
just being both parties. And the one is they're both good friends of mine, but the woman is a very good friend of mine. I'm kind of starting to get like insulted that they won't just help me. I'm like, come on.
Yeah. You know what it
Please.
is? Here's how you have to word it. So thanks so much for thinking of me. And I'm so happy to hear that you're talking to your friend about me. I really appreciate that. That's the best flattery you can ever give an agent. Hey, so I want to help your client, your friend. And so always coming from a place of service, I want to be able
Right.
to help them through this process. And I just lost my train of thought. You said something and I wanted to tag on to that.
Oh,
Okay.
with help them through the process. She wanted to sell to a friend, maybe that.
Oh,
Because I know
no,
she's gonna lowball her. I know she is. I know her friend's gonna
yeah,
lowball
and,
her.
and you can even say this, you know what, if you're just afraid that they won't give you permission, why don't you just go ahead? That's what it was. Go ahead and ask them if it's okay if you give me their number.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because then it puts it back on them to say, that's what it was. Go ahead and ask them if you can give me their number. So, because some people are like, oh gosh, I don't know if I should just do that. I would also
Right.
say this. People are more likely to say yes if you're actually talking to them on the phone than in a text. So easy to say no in a text message
Yep.
than it is over the phone. And then I would say, well, if you're feeling uncomfortable about passing on their information, then why don't you go ahead and ask their permission if it's okay? And I mean, I don't know what their ages are and if they do email, but even if you can just get an email address. So go
Right.
ahead and give me your email address, or what can you tell me about the property and their address? And I'm happy just to mail them a packet of information. If you can't get contact info, then at the very least, where do they live? And then can I just drop something in the mail? Or better yet, even, hey, you know what? Why don't you tell me a little bit about their house and I'll give you the information to give to them. That's like my last resort. I wouldn't go in with that. That would be my last resort. Would it be okay then, since they haven't given permission to give me their contact information or for you to give me their contact information? Would it be okay if I put together a packet to give to you then just to pass on to them?
Right. Because that's where I'm at. And I'm frustrated because I keep asking, would you please give me, their number? Like, and what you've said, go ahead and give it to me, that kind of thing. And my friend just said, here's what I sent to my aunt. And she sent me a copy of the text. And it's basically my name, like singing my praises, but giving her aunt my name and number when she
Mhm.
knows her aunt and uncle who are getting divorced already, like have two people they met with that the uncle's up against and saying no to just to be a jerk, you know? So I'm just saying, give me a chance because I could work with them. Anyway,
Yeah.
no, I appreciate that. That's exactly it. So I'm just stuck on that, being able to get the
Yeah,
information.
if you can't get the number, then ask if they can give permission to give you the number. And if that's still not gonna work, and maybe we can get their email address, at the very least, can I mail them stuff? And if that's still a no, then again, last resort, can I put together a packet for you just to hand off to them?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's
Mm-hmm.
really nothing
Okay.
else that you can do from that at that
I
point.
know.
Yeah,
I
because
know.
honestly, most people don't reach out. Most people
Yeah.
just don't. If we can't get their information, they
It's
just, I
not
mean,
going
I've
to
had people
happen.
do so, but most of the time that doesn't happen.
Well, and the thing is I know where her aunt lives, so I could mail it and go above my friend's head.
Oh,
And the other one who he said enough information to me now, I think I figured out who it is.
okay,
So
okay.
part of me wants to just go over both of them and do it, but then
Well,
I'm pissing off
don't
two
go
friends, you
over
know?
them because you want them for a referral source. So this is what you're
Right.
gonna do. Just gonna say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead. I know they're not ready to talk to me physically yet, but I'm just gonna go ahead and mail them some information.
Okay. Yeah.
That's
And
what I
just
would
say,
do.
look, I know, yeah, because she knows I know where the aunt lives and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then I pretty much figured out the other party. Okay.
And I'm just gonna
Okay.
drop something in the mail for them and then they can contact me whenever they're ready, kind of a thing.
Okay. Yeah. And I like that asking, will you please ask them if they mind if you share their information with me? I like that.
Yeah.
Your name, their name and
Yep.
number. Okay. Thank you. Sorry to
No,
interrupt.
no problem. Good luck. Let us know how you do.
Yeah, thanks. I need to get something going. Thanks.
Uh-huh. Here's just some script options that you can use for contacting people in the follow-up. I know you guys can read and you can go back through that later. I wanted to talk a little bit about the stages. The watch, so we talked a little bit about the qualifying stage. That's somebody that you haven't ever spoke to or hasn't responded. Our watch stage, so I would equate the watch stage to be very similar to that someone who's looking 90 plus. The nurture phase is those A's and B's, right? The watch stage for me means longer term. So then there's a little bit less touches or they're more spaced out, I guess I should say, than someone that you're on regularly because they're either an A or a B. So a watch stage, I would say, is like your C client or possible client. So you've communicated with them, they've explained to you what their time frame is, whether they're buying and selling or whatever. And then what can I do with them? Like what can my game plan be, my action plan? Well, again, set them up in a smart plan, set them up in that 36 touch campaign, which could also look like calling them 4 times a year, as I mentioned. When you're calling them, by the way, I threw in here part of your 36 touch could be, call 4 times a year. And if you're not sure what to say, you can use the Ford script. If anyone's ever heard of the Ford script, here it is. Ford stands for family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So what you can use in that is simply, hey, how's your family doing? I use this one all the time. Hey, I was driving through your neighborhood, if you know where they live, and I went past your house the other day when I was out showing houses, and it made me think of you. So I just wanted to call to say hi, and how's your summer going? How's things going at work, if that's how you know them? Recreation would mean, hey, are the kids still playing baseball? Blah, 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 those kinds of things. Dreams would be, last time we talked, you said you guys were planning your big trip to Italy. So like, that's the kinds of stuff. Make sure you make note of your conversations in your database, so in command, so that you can remember those kinds of things from your conversation when you follow up. Email them 12 times a year. So what might I email 12 times a year? Well, here's a couple of ideas. One is simple. It would be a market snapshot of their area. If they're a seller. If it's a longer term buyer, then I'm for sure sending them listings all the time. So it will be more than 12 emails in that case. Write handwritten note cards 4 times a year, or those calendars or other things we talked about there. Customizing your smart plans is also super important. You want to make sure that those smart plans in command are specific to that person. Meaning this, I'm not customizing a brand new one for each individual person. However, I do want a set of smart plan drips for buyers, for sellers, for people I met at open house, for people that are in a farming area, those kinds of things. So where did I find them and how can I be specific on the type of smart plan that they're getting? There's all kinds of examples in there in the sharing library that you can use and customize. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then as Amanda said, schedule your appointment with Amanda and she will show you how to do that. Once your smart plan, by the way, or your library of smart plans are set up, it's already done. All you have to do then is turn on the search or turn on the smart plan. So I've added them in and boom, now it's on. I will say this, you kind of never stop creating smart plans because eventually that smart plan is going to run out for that person. And now I have to think of what's my next nurture thing. I love the newsletter thing monthly. I actually get a couple of newsletters from other agents in our industry that aren't even at KW. And I don't unsubscribe because maybe I had a transaction with them because I love seeing the ideas on their newsletters. I just got one the other day and it was things about keeping yourself cool in the heat and spring things and summer things to do. All kinds of good ideas there. All of that doesn't have to do with real estate, but you can still brand it that way. A series of emails that you can send out. There's some ideas there, ideas on text messages that you can be sending out as well. So again, there's no reason why you can't use the forward script for a text message. If this is someone who's never going to answer the phone, then you can just text. It's just a great way of staying in touch. I mentioned earlier that we've got those scripts in here. So I went ahead and I put that seller questionnaire in here. So this is kind of the, hey, we're on the phone. You said you have interest in selling your house, and this is some information that I need. We don't just send this to them to fill out. This is a phone call. This is a pre-listing appointment conversation. So this way you can get some information that you need to prepare for your appointment. Here's the buyer questionnaire, which is the LP Mama script, which stands for location, price, motivation. There's that A, B, and C. Do you have an agent? Have you been pre-approved? And let's set the appointment. The touch plan calendar, this is just a blank one. There's a couple different versions of this in the drive that you can use or print or both. And I would say that your smart plan or touch campaign calendar would be something that I like to have done for the whole year, by the way. So it doesn't matter that we're here in July, you can start filling it out for August. What are the things that I want to do in the month of August in regards to a touch campaign? And then so on for the next 12 months. And then, you know, as we approach the end of the year, that's a good time to spend some time. And again, if you're time blocking, you'll already have this on your calendar throughout the year that it's time to do that again, that planning again. If a whole year is just too much, then just plan it for the quarter ahead. You're much more likely, by the way, to stick to doing these things if you have a system in place. And this is the little tools that seem really silly to keep you on task. I also use this type of a calendar for my social media content. What kind of content might I want to post about in January? Makes sense. New Year's is in January, as well as it's probably snowing, February, Valentine's Day. So some of that's real easy. Use the seasons, use the holidays. That's content for posting. And by the way, if you're going to post it, why not take the time to use that post and drop that flyer right when you create a post? It's basically a flyer. It's just an online flyer. Use that flyer to drop right into your smart plan. If you guys didn't know, you can drop flyers in smart plans. People are way more likely to read an email that the body of the email is actually an image versus the smart plan just simply being paragraph with words. I drop flyers in all my smart plans. Actually every touch of my smart plans besides the follow-up that it's reminding me to do, other than the auto text, because I do use Twilio, is a flyer. And that same flyer I post on social media. So you
Hey,
don't
Gina.
have to double duty it. Go ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, I was wondering if, can you use video in the smart plan?
I don't know.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't think so. Here's what I would use video for is a campaign. So a campaign and a smart plan are two different things. A campaign is a blast that goes out one time to everybody in my database. So every email I've gotten here, I'm gonna create a campaign and then I'm gonna drop in this flyer or this video and I'm gonna blast it out. You can do that. I don't think the smart plans can, but don't quote me. That might be an Amanda question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
No problem. So I would use a calendar like this for a bunch of different stuff. One, smart plans. How do I want to divide that up through the year, as well as social media content and posts? So here's from KWU, smart plan tips to create tasks for yourself. So you should have 7 tasks to remind yourself to follow up, things like that. Sending out emails, text messages again. So this is just their little tip calendar, if you will, of things that you can be doing to add in your smart plan. Here's my real recommendation is go into the smart plan library that you all have access to in Command and see what other agents who have shared their smart plans with all of us in every network and all the KWs, what smart plan do they have that I like? And you can edit, well, you have to. Every single one is able to be edited because you have to put your information in. What they don't do is leave their information off. If I've spent time, and listen, it could be hours, creating content for a smart plan, and I want to kindly share that with the network of KW agents throughout the country, I'm not going to take the time to remove my name from it. It's able to be edited. So that means I like the way this one looks. And now I just have to go in every step and take out their name and put in mine. That makes sense. So once you get in there, it'll make sense. But I have found some really good smart plans that I incorporated into mine. And I love their steps better than mine. I love the verbiage that they use, different things like that, that I've 100% gotten a lot of results from. If you're consistently using those smart plans, then you're going to consistently start to get people responding. I don't even mind when someone responds like this, stop. When they say stop to an auto text, I'm not unhappy. That just means, okay, that's one less person. When I'm nurturing and I'm following up, this is what's in my mind. I promise every time. I envision for some strange reason a school hallway. And what I envision is all the people standing in a line on one side of the wall. And then my job is to get through those people and start moving them over to the other side. The ones that stay are the ones that I'm still trying to turn into clients. The ones that I move out of my way, they get out of my way so I have a clearer path to get to the ones that actually might need my help sometime in the future. Do not take non-response as someone not wanting your help in the future. That is just someone who isn't needing it right now. Do not give up. I find it so interesting when people say they ghosted me and I said, give me an example. And they're like, well, they just didn't call me back. And I'm like, wow, if that's what you think is ghosting, then you've got a long road ahead of you. Because like I myself, I could be looking at products and I could be looking at services and might just be venturing in, and I'm not a window shopper. So trust me, if I'm looking, I'm actually interested, but I want to be followed up with when I'm ready. We also all forget that people are at work, they're with their families, they could be on vacation. They're not thinking about you and you following up. They will reply when they need something. The key here is I want to be the person that they reply to. And the only way to do that is to stay in front of them. So thanks, guys. If there's no other questions, I will let you go and get out there and sell some houses. This was recorded if you guys needed to go back as well. Thanks so much.